YouTube, what is going on? DA Comics coming back at you guys with another comic book pickups. And let me tell you, have I got a stack today. Picked up a lot of books this week. Got a little carried away with some back issues. So we'll go over the new books first, but then we got a ton of awesome back issues to go through. So you do not want to miss this one. Stay tuned, trust me. But if you are new here, this is my video series where I go through and show you guys the new additions to my comic book collection, both new and old, back issues, new releases, Silver Age, graded books, anything and everything in between. I also mentioned in the last episode that I was getting married, and I did this previous weekend. It was fantastic. I might make a separate video talking more about it for anyone who is interested. I'm not going to talk about it in this, but I'll do that later. And also have her in a video because she has not actually been in a video yet, so I would like to introduce her to you all. But it's a fantastic weekend. We just got back today. Immediately went to the comic store and had some packages waiting for me when I got back, so got into all those. And I'm going to dive right into these books because I have a lot of books to talk about, so I do not want to dally. Sorry, my hair looks so stupid. I showered right before this, and it's a lost cause, I don't know. But we're in the growing phase of it. But let's dive into the new books first. First book I picked up, I actually have not read, and I don't really plan to read. It is Edge of SpiderVerse number 5. I might read it just because I am curious about the story, but I haven't been picking up this series. I think I have issue 1, but I don't have any of the others. The main reason I picked this up is because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the first appearance of this character. I think Webweaver was his name. This is the first gay Spider-Man character in the Spider-Verse. Definitely a very, I guess, monumental character, some would say. But it really there was a lot of hype around this character coming out. It reminded me a lot of when Spider-Gwen came around in one of the old Spider-Verse series. And I made the mistake of not picking up that book at the time, and that book is worth like a few $100s now because Spider-Gwen is a very popular character. So I decided, you know what the heck, I'll pick this book up. It's $5, and it will probably end up being worth more down the line if this character is as popular or big as people think it will be. But yeah, I'll probably read it because I am curious about his story and his origin. But yeah, seemed like a good pickup, good investment. So if it doesn't go up in value, whatever, not a big deal. But if it does go up in value, it could be a cool book to have in the collection. So next up, we got Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, book 5 of 7. I a couple weeks ago picked up the first 4 issues of this series because I hadn't been picking it up, and read those and got caught up. To say I'm fully following the story would be not entirely truthful. Obviously, I'm still kind of new to the whole DC Comics universe, the whole lore of it. I know Batman pretty well. I know Superman okay. But a lot of these characters, a lot of this universe, a lot of the lore of it, I do not know. So I'm probably going to spend some time watching YouTube videos, maybe see if Comix Explained has some videos that can catch me up. But I've been able to follow the story at least a little bit. And it's cool. I mean, the ending of this book, just to show you, spoiler alert if you care, but I doubt you're watching this if you really care. But the end of this issue was very cool when the Dark Army basically showed up on Earth Zero. And you've got Doomsday, Darkseid, all these big DC villains, Deathstroke. Super cool. It was a very cool moment, so I'm excited to read the next issue. It kind of seems like Crisis on Infinite Earths is like DC's Secret Wars, where they kind of just do it again and again and again. And yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is going to lead to some kind of reboot. I don't think it'll be a hard reboot, but I think they're going to be bringing back some bits of the multiverse and changing up some things, so I wanted to be in the know for when that time comes around. But yeah, it's pretty good. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't say I'm super, blown away by it, but I'm enjoying it, so. Next book, we got Captain America Sentinel of Liberty number 5. Pretty cool cover there. Continuing the story of the Circle, or the Inner Circle, or the Outer Circle, or whatever they're called. I actually decided to drop the other Captain America series, Symbol of Truth, just because I've been picking up so many series lately. I needed to drop a few, especially because I was starting to pick up so many more DC books. And so I decided to keep picking this one up because I was enjoying this one a little bit better. I liked the art a lot more. I care about Steve Rogers' character a little bit more. I liked the whole conspiracy that was going on. This one finally saw Steve and Bucky actually storming the base of the Circle, or whatever they're called. And it's seemingly becoming a Bucky story, which it felt a little disjointed. I don't know, maybe I need to go back and reread the issues because a lot of time does pass between issues. I mean, these are monthly, so I've been reading this story for 5 months. It's easy to forget what's happening, but I feel like this story really started as a Steve Rogers story, kind of him realizing that the shield was their symbol and not his, but now it's quickly become a Bucky story, being that he's angry that he was being manipulated by them from the beginning. So I don't know. I need to probably go back and reread it again. I feel that way about a lot of comics. Like the Venom series, I'm like, I should probably reread those. The Hulk series, I should probably reread those because I feel like you just kind of lose touch on what's going on if you're not really paying attention to them. But next book is one I've been looking forward to for a few weeks now, ever since I found out it was coming out. And that is Gotham City Year 1, issue number 1. The reason I was looking forward to this so much is because it is written by Tom King. Of course, the writer who wrote Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler, which was one of my favorite comic books. It's really what set me off on loving DC Comics lately. So once I saw that it was written by him, I knew I had to pick it up. This is a story about Gotham City back in the 60s, when it was a utopia. This is before it fell, so to speak, before it became the not-so-great city that we all know, the crime-filled, poverty-struck city. And I gotta say it was very good. It's kind of like an old-timey 60s like detective story. It manages to work in the Waynes and Batman, and the end actually shows the main character as an old person telling Batman in the present this story. So it's super, super interesting. Really, really enjoyed it. Definitely worth a pickup. And really looking forward to the next couple issues. It's setting up a mystery that I'm very curious to see where it goes. I don't know if it's setting up Court of Owls or if it's setting up like a different Joker or something. I don't know. But I think it'll be a really good kind of contained story, which is something you don't see a lot from the big publishers, specifically Marvel. DC's a little bit better at doing that. And that's really what I enjoy from DC, is their self-contained stories. I feel like with Marvel, I really like their ongoing series, the legacy of it all. Whereas DC, I feel like they tell better individual stories with similar settings and characters. And I think that's why this book really shined for me. But moving on, next up we have Hulk number 9. The more I look at this title, I wish it was The Incredible Hulk, but it's just Hulk. This is the beginning of a new storyline, Hulk Planet, the first story arc after Banner of War. Ryan Ottley is back as the artist on this story. And I was very much actually looking forward to this issue because, as I have said, the Hulk series so far hasn't wowed me, which was a little disappointing because I do like Donny Cates as a writer so much. And I think the reason why is because my expectations going into it were totally in the wrong place. Because I was going in expecting more something in line with what the last run did, the Immortal Hulk or whatever it was called. Where it's kind of darker and it's a more grim, like just Hulk is this monster and it's gritty. This is very much not that. It's a little bit more silly. A lot more lighthearted. The whole spaceship Hulk concept, it almost feels like a Star Trek parody. Especially in this issue because now there's a crew. All different identities of Bruce Banner. But now, let me get in here real quick. He's doing therapy with a Doc Samson that's in his head. And then he gets out of that and he talks to his crew. Where are they all? Here we go. It's a whole crew aboard Starship Hulk. Which is, of course, all inside the mind of Hulk. And they're traveling towards a gamma-ridden planet. They land down, see a big skyscraper with a Hulk statue. Very reminiscent of Stakar from Thor Ragnarok. And then ultimately it ends with him being attacked by a bunch of gamma creatures and then Monolith coming and welcoming him home. And that's the end of the first issue of this arc. So I was really looking forward to this issue because I didn't love the first storyline. Banner of War was a little bit better. And then I was like, all right, now this is a new storyline. Like, I can go into it with better expectations and hopefully enjoy it. And I will say, I definitely enjoyed it better than the first storyline because now I at least know what the heck is going on. You know, in that first storyline, I couldn't really enjoy the story because I was spending the entire time going, what the heck is happening right now? Whereas now, I'm like, okay, Starship Hulk, it's inside Hulk's mind, he's created a mind palace, yada yada. I get that. And I could just go into it and enjoy it. Ryan Ottley's art, I understand now. It makes sense for this story, this series. When I thought this was going to be a more serious comic book, I was like, Ryan Ottley's kind of a weird choice. But it makes sense for what the vision that Donny Cates has for this Hulk story. And I think it certainly has a place. There have been numerous times throughout Hulk's history where it has been a more lighthearted, kind of silly comic book. I just prefer the more gritty, badass Hulk. But it's evident that that's not what we're going to get from this run, and that's okay. I'm just going to try to enjoy this run for what it is, and then maybe in the future it'll be something, you know, a little more in line with what I would like to see. But definitely not dropping this book. Hulk is one of my favorite Marvel characters. I'm definitely trying to get more into collecting Hulk, as you guys will see in a little bit. So I'm gonna keep picking it up, and hopefully I'll really come to love it. I think I can. It just might take a little bit of time, and I might have to go back and reread the beginning of it. But next up, did not know this book was coming out this week. I was doing a bad job of checking what was releasing. I was only looking at my pull list. And so I got to the store, saw this on the shelf, and I was like, oh, apparently this came out. It is Spider-Man #1. This is the series from Dan Slott and Mark Bagley, kind of an all-star Spider-Man team. It's Legacy 157, so it looks like this is technically the legacy continuation of Spider-Man. The series started with Todd McFarlane. And I was unsure how to feel about this when it was first announced. It's the return of Dan Slott to Spider-Man, obviously a long-time Spider-Man writer. He was writing Spider-Man when I first started reading it, and then for many years after that. And very controversial writer. Some, depending on who you ask, they love him or hate him. I think I land somewhere in the middle. Some of his stories I really love. Some of his stories I really hate. So I was a little iffy about that, but putting Mark Bagley on the book basically ensured that I was going to pick it up. I mean, he's my favorite artist ever. And as they actually pointed out in the back of the book, Mark Bagley has drawn more comics of Spider-Man than anybody else, and Dan Slott has written more comics of Spider-Man than anybody else. So this really is an MVP team. And I gotta say, after reading the book, it was very good. It was certainly better than any of the issues from the newest run of Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not a huge fan that it's another SpiderVerse story. I'm kind of over the whole SpiderVerse thing. It's gotten a little overdone in my opinion, but at least it is the original creator of SpiderVerse, so that'll be good. And I'm not sure if this will be an ongoing series or if this is just this SpiderVerse story and then it'll be done. We'll have to wait and see, or maybe there's a way of knowing. I don't know. But all I could think while reading this, like, I was enjoying the vibe. It felt different. The main Amazing Spider-Man series, Peter's just so depressed and gritty and angry, and I know that's what they're going for with it, but it's not Spider-Man. He's not having fun with it. In this book, you felt that. His banter with the villain, he was like talking with the crowd and having a good time, and I feel like that's the part of writing Spider-Man that Dan Slott has always been really good at, is that kind of witty banter. But all I could really think while I was reading this book is, why is this team not creating the main Spider-Man series? Like, you literally came out with this book, said this is the writer who's written the most Spider-Man comics, the artist who's drawn the most Spider-Man comics, all-star team for this book. Why is this not the team on Amazing Spider-Man? And again, I say that fully, I am aware Dan Slott coming back to Amazing Spider-Man would be a controversial thing, and I'm not necessarily saying I want that, but it would be better than what we have now. I mean, I was giving Zeb Wells the benefit of the doubt when he took over the book, but I'm sorry, it's not good. And I don't know whether that's his fault. I don't know whether it's the editor's fault. I don't know whose fault it is for the creative direction of the Spider-Man series right now. I'm guessing probably editorial, so I'll give Zeb Wells a bit of a pass, but it's not in a good state right now. This book is the best Spider-Man book on the market right now. So if you are a big Spider-Man fan, you've been disappointed with The Amazing Spider-Man lately, pick this book up. Because in my opinion, as someone who has read a hell of a lot of Spider-Man comics, I like to think I have a good opinion, a good taste for a good Spider-Man comic. This is better than The Amazing Spider-Man right now. And that has not happened often in the time that I've been reading comics, where a side series is better than the main series. The last time I can think of that happening would be the Spectacular Spider-Man run a few years ago, which was phenomenal. When J. Jonah Jameson found out that he was Peter, that whole run, I think it was Chip Zdarsky maybe, really good run. That's besides the point. So definitely worth a pickup. Definitely worth a pickup. I am excited to read more. I noticed that this was made out of like a different kind of paper. It's actually weird. It smelled like the Ultimate Comics. I don't know if this was just like totally like I'm making this up because it was Mark Bagley's art and it looked like the Ultimate Comics, but it smelled like the Ultimate Comics. I don't know what it is, but I really like this book. Definitely worth a pickup. I'm going to make a tab for it, and I need to find out for sure if this is an ongoing series or if it's just a mini-series. I kind of hope it's an ongoing series, but we'll see where it goes. Last new book, and then we can go into the back issues, and I'll be able to ramble a little bit less. The last new book I picked up this week is Batman 128. And this continued to be banger after banger in this series. I have been loving Chip Zdarsky's run on Batman, but what I gotta say is this book really went places that I did not see it going. Last issue ended with Superman showing up to fight Failsafe. Awesome cliffhanger, and I was very excited to go into this book. Superman versus Failsafe fight, awesome. Rest of the Justice League shows up, awesome. Batman and Superman trying to get out with their lives, awesome. And then just completely out of nowhere, there's a 2-week time jump where Batman was out, and he comes back and Failsafe has taken over Gotham City. And it ends with a giant bat signal being displayed over Gotham City. What an awesome ending to this book, because I was reading this series and going like, oh, awesome. How is the next issue gonna get more interesting? And that just, I did not see that coming. I thought that the Justice League would come and fight Failsafe. Maybe Batman would get away. He'd have to come back and beat Failsafe himself, and that would just kind of be the end of the story. But what an unexpected twist that, like, in the middle of this fight, it's like, all of a sudden it's 2 weeks later, Failsafe has taken over Gotham City. And, like, the Bat family is, like, a rebellion, and it's this police state. I mean, it's just so good. If you consider yourself a Batman fan and you're not picking up this run, do yourself a favor and go pick out this run. I believe it started with 125. Yeah, 125, 126, 127, and then now 128. It's just so good. I mean, Chip Zdarsky is an incredible writer. We all know this. And I just think this is the first time that I've been reading the new Batman comics and loving it this much since New 52 with Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder? I think that's his name. I'm blanking on the name. But like when I was picking up New 52 Batman, every single issue I was looking forward to it because it was so good. And I've picked up a lot of Batman since. I picked up Batman Rebirth when it first started. I picked up many times throughout that run when different creators took over the book. And it just never, it always felt stale to me. It wasn't that interesting. It didn't have me hooked. This series has me genuinely looking forward to the next issue every single month. If I look and see that there's a Batman issue, I officially get excited, which that's rare for that to happen. Normally it's just Spider-Man, but lately it hasn't been Spider-Man. Batman has definitely filled the gap for me for what Spider-Man has not been providing in terms of hype and excitement for new comics. Batman has. So definitely go pick it up. Between that and Detective Comics, I would say Batman is a little bit better. This Detective Comics is still really good, but Batman is definitely just a little bit better and worth a pickup, in my opinion. But with that said, let's dive into these back issues. So, as I've been mentioning the last few weeks, I've been wanting to expand my, repertoire of back issues. For growing up, I basically always, almost exclusively collected Amazing Spider-Man. I had a few Captain America, Avengers, Fantastic Four, things like that. But I've been trying to expand and get into more series so that I just have some more new stuff to get into because, back issues of all of these series are books that I've never really looked at. I mean, I know almost every single issue of Amazing Spider-Man. I have most of them. This gives me a new area to just get some cheap back issues, $2 a pop, but really cool. I love the art, things like that. So I've showed you guys in the past couple of weeks, I started picking up Ghost Rider. I started picking up Silver Surfer. I started picking up some Detective Comics and Action Comics, and more of those are on the way. But this week, I decided to really hone in on a few Marvel series that I wanted to pick up some back issues from. First up, I only have one book from this series right now. I have more coming. We have Captain America. This is Captain America 369. Picked this out at my comic store. I decided I wanted to look at the Captain America section, and I just picked out one that I thought looked cool to me. This one had crossbones in the back and Captain America in the front. Thought it was just a cool cover. And really wanted to pick that issue up. So that's the beginning of my Captain America pickups, but I have a bunch more coming probably next week, maybe the week after. Depends on shipping and all of that, but ordered that today. Next book, we have Doctor Strange, another character that I really like. I talked about it. He was in some Ghost Rider books that I picked up, or Silver Surfer or something, and I was like, I want to also get into Doctor Strange. So this is from Doctor Strange Volume 2. It's issue 68, featuring the Black Knight. Now, Black Knight is a character that came around in the 90s, late 80s. Yeah, or I guess this is mid-80s. Came around in the 80s, I believe, possibly 70s. Who's just a really cool character. I really love his aesthetic, the knight sword, and Doctor Strange being the wizard. It's very sword and sorcery, very D&D, which obviously I love fantasy, so wanted to pick that one up. It's very, very cool. And then, as you guys know, my favorite era of back issues is the Copper Age, the 1985 to 1995 era, when it has this label in the corner. And during that era was Doctor Strange Volume 3. Well, technically, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Volume 1, but that's besides the point. So I picked up a few books from that series, and I'm definitely going to pick up more. A lot of these series from the 90s that aren't these huge characters like Spider-Man and Captain America, who are in the 400s, a lot of these series only went for 100-ish issues. Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer. So they're really fun for me to collect because I could feasibly collect all of them. And any collector knows that having a complete run of something is the most satisfying thing in the world. So if I could have a complete run of Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange and Ghost Rider and all of these books, that would, and Spider-Man by Todd McFarlane, that would just be so phenomenal. So this next book I got is Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, issue number 26, featuring Werewolf by Night, who we can soon watch on the big screen this weekend. Marvel is coming out with their Werewolf by Night special presentation, whatever they're calling it. Basically their little horror movie, which I'm actually very excited for. I think that's going to be really good. So I thought this was a really, really cool cover. You got Werewolf in the front. I love the red lighting from below. And then you got Doctor Strange in the back kind of doing his sorcery. Really, really, really cool cover. And then next up we have Doctor Strange number 28. Of course, featuring Ghost Rider. Whenever there's a crossover between some of my favorite characters, I'm going to pick it up. So Ghost Rider crossover with Doctor Strange is an awesome crossover. I love it. Doctor Strange deals with the mystical and the magical, and Ghost Rider's powers literally come straight from hell. So it's an awesome crossover. Not my favorite cover. I don't love the orange in the background. I feel like it kind of floods the cover to where it's hard to really make out the details. But Ghost Rider himself does look really, really cool there. So love that book. It's also interesting, it does say Sorcerer Supreme here, but you can barely read it. So not the best design ever. And then the last Doctor Strange book I picked up is Doctor Strange 35, featuring Scarlet Witch, Thor, and I believe that's Clea behind Scarlet Witch. You guys know I love, obviously, Thor is one of my favorite Marvel characters. And Scarlet Witch, I also really love her character. If she had her own series that came out during this time, I would definitely pick that up. But I think she only really ever had like a 5-issue limited series or something like that. So anytime I see her in a book, whether it's Marvel Team Up or Doctor Strange, I gotta pick it up. Especially Doctor Strange, because obviously they have a lot of crossover with Multiverse of Madness that just happened, which I want to watch again. I've only seen it one time. But yeah, seeing her on this cover, I thought I had to get that book. Thor, Scarlet Witch, and Doctor Strange, that's a crossover I need to see. So, awesome book to pick up. Next up, we're going back to the character that started it all, which is Spider-Man. Obviously, I have every single issue of The Amazing Spider-Man that came out during the Copper Age, which is the era that I'm mostly buying back issues from. So now I've started picking up the Spider-Man series, the one that actually started the legacy numbering for this. I've shown you guys in the past few weeks a few of the books I've picked up. This one is Spider-Man 19, Revenge of the Sinister Six Part 2, which I picked up Part 1 a few weeks ago. Now I have Part 2, can start working my way through that. Awesome cover featuring Hulk, Electro, Hobgoblin, Vulture, I believe that's Doc Ock down here. Really, really cool cover. Obviously, crossover between Hulk and Spider-Man is pretty cool. The first part had Ghost Rider, so it seems like a cool little storyline. But this next book, this cover might be one of my favorite comic book covers, possibly ever. I saw this cover and knew I had to pick this up. It is Spider-Man number 17. And just look at that cover. I, of course, have it in the Mylar. This is Spider-Man in the grips of Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. At the hand of Thanos, the death of Spider-Man. And it says, "You will believe a man can die." I love this cover. Thanos is an awesome villain. I love Thanos. I've got my Hot Toys Thanos over there between my Infinity War and Endgame posters. You know, Thanos is sick. Obviously, in the 90s, a huge character. This was when Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War and all of those stories happened. So having a cover of Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet holding Spider-Man in his hand, that is just such a sick cover. Absolutely phenomenal. I have not actually opened this book up yet. I definitely want to open it up and flip through, because I know one of the things that the Spider-Man series did that I really love is they had no borders on their art. It would just go the full page. So I can imagine the art within this book is probably beautiful. So I'm probably going to read this after I finish recording this video. But really, really cool book. Really cool. Next up, we have quite a few books from one series in particular. This is a character that won't surprise you that I wanted to pick this up, and it is Thor. I picked up a few Thor back issues, just trying to fill in my collection, because prior to now, I only have a few Thor books. I mean, I have like a couple Silver Age books, and then like 2 Bronze Age, and that's it, before the modern series that I'm picking up wherever that is now. So I wanted to start filling in that collection, and I'll be filling it in more over the coming weeks and months. All of these series that I've shown you, I'm going to be picking up more Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Thor, and everything else, Silver Surfer, all that. But this first book I picked up is The Mighty Thor 241. It's actually a Bronze Age back issue. Picked this one up. It's got some skeletons with swords, which again feels very sword and sorcery, very Dungeons and Dragons. And I really, really like that. I thought Thor fighting an army of skeletons with swords, that's a really cool comic book. So, had to pick that one up, of course. I think I got it for like $2-3. It really wasn't anything crazy. Not bad condition. I'd say maybe 5.0. But beautiful book. Beautiful cover. Then we got Thor number 251, featuring Hela. Obviously from Thor Ragnarok. Well, in Thor Ragnarok, not from Thor Ragnarok, from this comic book. But If This Be Death, you have Hela holding Thor, and then a bunch of like grizzled hands reaching up at him from the trash. It's just a really cool cover. The art from this era of Marvel, the Bronze Age art, isn't my favorite. That's why I've never been really big into Bronze Age back issues because the art isn't quite my favorite. It's like the Silver Age art has that old-timey classic, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby feel to it. And then the 90s art I really love. That's why I love those back issues, the Copper Age. This art isn't my favorite, but it is still very, very cool. So I'm definitely getting into that more. I'm going to be picking up more Bronze Age books for Thor, Hulk, Fantastic Four, Avengers, all of that. But starting off here. Speaking of the art, this next book is actually a beautiful cover. This is the Mighty Thor 322. Absolutely stunning cover. Reminds me a lot of the Silver Age Thor book I picked up. Oh man, probably last year? It was a while ago. But it's Thor and Heimdall fighting on the Rainbow Bridge. You've got Asgard in the background, space and planets and stars all in the background. Just a beautiful cover. I got it in the Mylar so I can really show it off. It's a little low grade. The top has a lot of wear. I don't know if it'll show. It's kind of faded to white at the top there. It doesn't show up very well on camera. But super sick. I mean, that cover alone made this worth the buy. And especially, I think it was like $250. So definitely worth it. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cover. Next up, jumping into the Copper Age. This is from 1987. We have the Mighty Thor 383. Another awesome book. We got Crisis on Battleworld. So this is a crossover with Secret Wars, the original Secret Wars. We've got the Enchantress over here, Doctor Doom, Ultron, Kang. I mean, A-list Marvel villains all squaring up against Thor on this cover. Just a beautiful book. I had to pick that one up. Then we have the Mighty Thor 387 featuring Judgment Day. This may look familiar to anyone picking up the newest Marvel event, Judgment Day. I have not been reading that. Didn't look that interesting to me. I don't really care for the X-Men or the Eternals, so I was passing on that one. But it's my understanding, based on the couple tie-ins I have read, that there is a Celestial judging the world. So I thought that was an original story, but I'm inclined to think, based on this, that maybe that was based on an old story, because this is clearly a Celestial giving a big thumbs down, and it says Judgment Day. And then you got Thor decked out in his awesome armor. This is the look reminiscent of what you saw in Love and Thunder. Really cool cover. I really love that art with the just light emanating from the Celestial, and I just love the thumbs down. I don't know why. It just feels silly, even though it's not. It's a very serious cover, but it's really, really cool. Love that book. Then we got Thor 396, featuring a character that you saw earlier, the Black Knight. Into the realm of death, back to back with the Black Knight. Once again, if I see the Black Knight crossing over with one of these characters, I'm going to pick it up. If Black Knight had a series during the 90s, I would pick that up. He had a 5-issue limited series, which I am going to try to pick up at some point. But yeah, really cool crossover. I mean, sword and sorcery. You've got the knight with the sword. You got Thor with the hammer, squared off against a bunch of spears and blades. Really cool. Really, really cool. Love that. Then we got the Mighty Thor 401. Featuring Loki. Gotta have a Loki book in there somewhere. It's actually, I picked this book up not just because it has Loki, but it actually has a dragon, which you guys know I'm a sucker for a dragon. If there's a dragon in a comic book, I'm probably going to pick it up. I have that Batman comic I got a few weeks ago with the dragon on it. It's just super cool. It's super cool. And especially in Thor, it's really interesting to see Thor wielding a sword. He's actually not wielding his hammer here. Which I'm guessing has something to do with the story, because it says, will Thor survive the wager? So I'm guessing he makes a wager with Loki that he can beat a dragon without his hammer. Not sure, but love that cover. Got it in Mylar because I just thought it was so pretty. And then, continuing the crossovers, we have Mighty Thor 430 featuring Ghost Rider. Now, once again, not my favorite cover. I don't like all of the maroon of the demons. It kind of makes the cover feel a little dull. But it's a crossover between Thor and Ghost Rider. You know I had to pick it up. I'm probably going to read this book. I don't usually read back issues that I pick up, by the way. I usually just pick them up generally for the cover and also just to have them, and then I put them in the box. But more than a few of these back issues, I actually want to read. Like the Spider-Man book with Thanos, and this book, the Doctor Strange one with Scarlet Witch and Thor. It's like I actually want to read these comics, which is very rare. It's been a long time since I've actually read the back issues that I pick up, so I'm excited to get back into that a little bit. But this is The God, the Ghost, and the Guilty, and if I do end up reading it, I'll be sure to let you guys know how I felt about it on my Instagram at DA Comics if you want to go and follow me over there. Just saying, but whatever. Moving along, because this video is going to be way longer than my last few pickups, we have The Mighty Thor 448, guest starring, you guessed it, the amazing Spider-Man. Of course, if there's a crossover with Spider-Man, I'm going to get it. Not a huge fan of this cover. I don't generally like white backgrounds on covers. It's not my favorite. It feels kind of like a cop-out. Also, not my favorite title font for Thor. This is a bad era of it. I think it was good when it was like this. It was good the one before that, and then it gets really good after this. I think we'll see pretty soon. But this one not so great, but cool crossover. And then another white background, Mighty Thor 451, featuring Blood Axe. I have no clue who Blood Axe is, but I saw this comic book and I was like, that looks like a Ghost Rider character. He's got skulls and chains and a red skull and an axe. Super cool, so I picked it up. That's really my logic for that one. I just thought it was a cool character, know nothing about him, but I wanted to pick it up. And then the last Thor comic that I have here is The Mighty Thor 468, featuring the Silver Surfer. This is Blood and Thunder Part 1. A few weeks ago, I can actually pull it out here. Let me see. A few weeks ago, I picked up the Blood and Thunder Part 2 Silver Surfer issue featuring the two of them fighting. So it was only natural that this week I pick up the Thor comic featuring Silver Surfer. Really cool cover featuring them fighting. Interesting frame they had for this storyline. I really like this Mighty Thor title a lot more than this one. This one sucks. This one's quite good. So I got this one in the Mylar because it's just so pretty. I need to really get this one in Mylar. I don't know why I got this in polypropylene, but I just do for some reason. But those are all the Thor books I picked up this week. Quite a few. I have some more coming, I believe. I can't even keep track anymore, but definitely going to be picking up a lot more Thor books. Silver Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, anything and everything. I would like to pick up some of Jason Aaron's run when they did Gore and all of that. So Thor has really come to grow on me over the years. I basically can definitively say that he's my second favorite superhero, so definitely want to be picking up more Thor books. But before we can end this video, I got a few more books to show you guys because there is one more series that I picked up some back issues from, and that is The Incredible Hulk. Like I mentioned earlier, Hulk is one of my favorite superheroes. He was actually my favorite superhero when I was a kid, before I liked Spider-Man. That's a true story. And so I went to look and check out some of his back issues, and I realized there are some awesome comic books back in those days. So, of course, I had to pick some up. First up, we have The Incredible Hulk 351, featuring Grey Hulk, which is super cool. Love this cover. He's sitting on this like Witch King throne with hooded figures in the back and these like green people crawling up on a pile of skulls and all that. It's super cool. This is the Hulk that I like. I don't like the silly Starship Hulk. I want a Hulk with this face, sitting on a throne of skulls with people bowing down to him. I don't know what's going on in this story, but I know that it looks super cool. So if I was back in 1988, I saw that on the shelf, I'm picking that up 100%. Then we have issue 371, featuring Namor and Doctor Strange. Of course, there's a crossover with Doctor Strange and Grey Hulk. Really, really cool cover. Wanted to pick that one up. Awesome addition to the collection. This next one is one we will probably talk about more closer to Christmas, and that is because it is The Incredible Hulk versus Santa Claus. This is issue number 378, didn't know this comic existed, this is still Grey Hulk versus Santa Claus. That's so hilarious. I knew that Santa had appeared in Marvel Comics. I knew that he was technically canon and had all these superpowers. I think he's a mutant and all these things. But I did not realize there was a comic book featuring Hulk and Santa fighting on the cover. What an awesome book. I definitely wanted to get it for like themed stuff. Like maybe for Christmas we could do a Christmas special and have like all the special Christmas comics that have come out over the years, because I have this one. I know there's a SpiderMan one I can think of. There's a Fantastic Four one that I think I have on the way. So you'll see that next week or in 2 weeks. So all sorts of fun stuff like that. I just think that's so funny. But this next book, oh my gosh, what a cover. Incredible Hulk 383. Now, I'm pretty sure this is an iconic cover because I've definitely seen this before. And I have not really looked at Hulk back issues before now, so I doubt that I would have seen it anywhere else. But this cover is beautiful. It's the Hulk versus the Abomination. You have Hulk during his white shirt, purple pants era. And then you have Abomination wearing his fedora, like kind of in the shadows, holding the this woman. Really cool cover. It's kind of reminiscent of like old 50s horror comics. I just love. I got it in the Mylar. I just think it's so cool. I would love to get a copy of this that's CGC'd so I could have it up on the wall, just because this cover is phenomenal. Phenomenal cover. Beautiful. And not a bad copy either. I would say this is easily 8.5 or 9.0. I mean, it's pretty good. Then we have issue number 395 featuring the Punisher. Another really cool character from the 90s. I would like to start picking up some Punisher comics. I've looked, and there were some that were cool, but some that I just didn't love the art on. But he crosses over with a lot of characters. Obviously, I used to love the Spider-Man books that have him in it. There's definitely some Ghost Rider books that have him in it. I think I picked up a few of them. So when I saw Punisher on a Hulk comic, definitely worth the pickup there. So I got 395, and then I got 396, which has the continuation of that story featuring the Punisher, Mr. Frost, and Mr. Fix-It, which I think is Joe Fix-It, one of the Hulk alters. I'm not sure. I need to brush up on my Hulk lore a little bit, but pretty cool cover there. You got Punisher has like a tie around his neck. I'm not sure what he was wearing, but... And then we finally made it there, folks. The last comic book of this pickups this week is a beautiful cover. Beautiful comic book. I saw this when I was flipping through the box and knew I had to pick it up, knew I had to put it in Mylar. The Incredible Hulk, issue number 400. Now, I don't know how well it'll show up on the camera there, but this is a holographic cover, for lack of a better term. Ghost of the Past, part 404. This is obviously the 400th issue special. Awesome cover featuring Hulk and the Leader, who will be appearing in, I think, the new Captain America movie. I might be wrong. And then this character in the back, not sure who that is. She's in some sort of chrysalis. But this cover is featuring this blast out of basically holographic, sparkly, textured... I don't even know how to describe it. The camera kind of picks it up. You can see the shimmer there, but it doesn't capture what it really looks like to the eye. I mean, looking at this comic book, especially in the light right here, it's so cool. So cool. I love it. So, had to pick that up and throw it in Mylar. Just an absolutely awesome book. 30th anniversary of The Incredible Hulk. And obviously a big milestone issue. So... awesome addition to my fledging, is that the right word? Fledgling? To the beginnings of my Hulk collection. My Hulk tab in my comic box is about this big right now. With these comics, it's probably going to be about this big. I really want to expand that. So I'm super excited about all of these books. I've been loving diving back into back issues and just browsing through these old Copper Age and Bronze Age books and finding, $2, $3, $4 copies. And really just expanding my collection. So that's kind of where I'm fixated right now, and you'll see me doing that in the coming weeks. I know coming on the way I have some more DC back issues. I have some Detective Comics, Action Comics, Wonder Woman. I definitely have some more, I think, Thor comics, Fantastic Four, Captain America. All of these series I'm just loving diving into right now. So Definitely stay tuned. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button. If you made it to the end of this video, you're a legend, because this is definitely going to be one of my longer comic pickups videos because I had so many books. But definitely I'd have to say pick of the week. If I had to pick one, oh man, it's so hard. Can I really pick one? I don't even know if I can. I would have to say pick of the week is probably going to be this Spider-Man book. While I am very excited about getting Hulk comics and Thor comics and all of those, I just love this cover so much. So that's going to be my pick of the week for this week. But I'm going to stop rambling now because I need to wrap this video up before it's over an hour long. So hit that like button if you did enjoy. If you made it to the end of this video, please comment down below and let me know because you are a legend for real. If you are new here, like I said, hit that subscribe button. I'll have another video next week with probably just as many pickups, if not more. So definitely stay tuned for that. And also, I have some other videos on my channel. If you want to go check them out, we have a podcast where we're reading through every Spider-Man issue. It's awesome. You should check it out. But that's going to do it for me here. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.